This is how Trump stole America.
Mexico sends its people. They're not sending their best. They're bringing drugs. They're bringing crime. They're rapists.
On day one of my administration, I signed an executive order to slash federal funding for any school that pushes transgender insanity.
His big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now.
Trump weaponized fear. He attacked immigrants, painting Mexicans and Spanish-speaking people as criminals. He targeted transgender people and the LGBTQ plus community. He belittled black workers with phrases like black jobs. He demonized Democrats as enemies of the state, not fellow Americans. By the time he returned for his second term, those seeds have grown into a wildfire. His MAGA talking points became incessant, all reinforcing the same dangerous propaganda: America isn't safe unless it's white. And yet, here's the most baffling part of Trump's rise. Despite the attacks, the insults, the demonizations, many of the very communities he verbally assaulted still voted for him.
Donald Trump.
I shouldn't too. Donald Trump does.
Well, how can you do this? You're a woman, you just gave away your rights. But I don't think that's exactly the message he was saying either.
How do you explain that? Did they place money over dignity? Believing his business first message would somehow trickle down to them? Did they actually think that casting their vote for Trump would make them rich, powerful, or untouchable like him? Or did they convince themselves that this rhetoric wasn't aimed at them, but at someone else?
As far as the right, there are a lot of young men who see themselves in the examples that they're seeing on the right.
Some other immigrant, some other black worker, some other LGBTQ plus person. To this day, it's one of the greatest paradoxes of American politics. People would rally behind a man who actively sought to strip away their dignity. Maybe it was an illusion of economic gain. Maybe it was propaganda so strong it clouded reality. Or maybe for some, Trump became the mirror of their own grievances, their own prejudices, their own hopes.
On the left, you see this notion that a family can look like anything other than a man and a woman. And there are a lot of young men who don't believe in that. They don't agree with that.
But what's undeniable is this. The seeds he planted didn't just grow within his loyal base. They took root across the entire political landscape. By the time Trump returned to power, America was already standing on fragile ground.
The eruption of protests in Los Angeles boiling over after President Trump deployed National Guard troops, bypassing California Governor Gavin Newsom. It's the first time a president has taken control of the state's National Guard without approval in 60 years. Protesters shutting down this freeway. Apparent flashbangs going off as police work to reopen the road. Several people detained.
When Trump returned to the White House, the mask came off. The outsider who promised to drain the swamp had, by his second term, created a new swamp. Deeper, murkier, more dangerous than ever before. Within months, he began threatening to withhold federal funds from states and cities that selected and elected his political opponents.
I think it's bad news, and I think I'm going to have a lot of fun with him, watching him, because he has to come right to this building to get his money. And don't worry, he's not going to run away with anything. I think he's, frankly, I've heard he's a total nut job. I think the people of New York are crazy. If they go this route, I think they're crazy.
This wasn't just political hardball. It was the weaponization of the federal government against democracy itself. Trump also consolidated power through an unprecedented wave of judicial and governmental appointments. He attacked courts, agencies, and watchdog positions with loyalists.
All happening days after Wray's predecessor, James Comey, was indicted on charges of obstruction and lying to Congress, charges he denies. Vice President J.D. Vance says more prosecutions are on the way.
Well, there's certainly going to be more indictments coming over the next 3.5 years of the Trump administration.
These weren't just Republicans. They were Trump Republicans, MAGA, people whose loyalty ran to him personally, rather than to the Constitution. The weaponization didn't stop with government offices. He targeted cities and dissenting voices in media and entertainment, from comedians like Jimmy Kimmel to entire outlets, using regulatory threats and online harassment campaigns to silence them. The free speech president was now suppressing speech.
They're 97% against. They give me only bad publicity or press. I mean, they're getting a license. I would think maybe their license should be taken away.
But nowhere was the power grab more glaring than the 2024 election itself. It was unprecedented. He emerged victorious. But in the back alleys of American politics, quiet questions swirled. Did he win fairly? This is how Trump stole America.